was a descendant of the enslaved myself, I found it both painful to hear about this discrimination and difficult to understand. In trying to make sense of this, in trying to understand the reasons and justifications, I started to search for other descendants of slavery, both in those peanut lands and in regions farther afield, in mud houses in the village, in reed-lined fields that hugged the river, and in high-rise apartments in Dakar. Eventually, my search and attempt to find out more led me to a series of historical records. I would have liked to say that I was able to resurrect the voices of those who had been enslaved, but writing a historical narrative about the enslaved is complicated because there are multiple layers of silences. There is the fundamental silencing of indigenous voices in the colonial archives, which privilege those of European officials. And many of the available epic poems or oral histories that have been passed from generation to generation often tell the stories of society's elites, the kings, nobles, warriors, and important religious leaders. Women rarely feature, and the enslaved almost never. They are muted, and the distance of a century reveals only flickering, spectral forms. How do we tell the stories of people that history forgets and the present avoids? I have tried here to uncover a handful of stories about a handful of people. I wish I could have done more. Part 1. 1. A shelter for runaway slaves. On May 27, 1879, the official weekly newspaper of the colony of Senegal noted that a certain Moussa Sidibé had claimed his freedom at the age of 25. Le Moniteur du Sénégal et Dépendance regularly revealed the names of the formerly enslaved men, women, and children who had been given their freedom papers in the past month. It was official business of the court, nestled between colonial decrees, bankruptcy announcements, weather tables, and ads for ferruginous lemonade and quinine elixirs. The newspaper listed them by date of liberation and included their ages, the name of the person who had registered them, and their destination. In the case of minors, for many of the newly freed were children, the destination was a person. A child would be entrusted to a mother, a father, or a guardian. For an adult former captive, though, the destination was figurative. For Moussa Sidibé, on May 27, 1879, the newspaper listed him as delivered to himself. There were at least 2 other Moussa Sidibés listed as claiming their freedom in 1879. A 40-year-old who had been liberated on January 3rd and a 30-year-old on August 12th. But were any of these Moussa Sidibés the one who was a younger man, just 21, when he fled the colonial capital of Saint Louis, looking for his freedom? That Moussa Sidibé had come from the neighboring kingdom of Kajor, where he said he had been enslaved for the past 5 years. I was obliged to serve an excessively harsh master, he later said, who made every effort to make my life bitter. France first abolished slavery in some of its colonies in 1794. It was a move born more out of desperation than of conscience. The Jacobin government was goaded into it by an ongoing uprising of enslaved people who were seizing their freedom in Saint-Domingue, and a subsequent civil war in that colony, the Pearl of the Antilles. Saint-Domingue was one of the richest and most productive colonies in the Americas, and it exported more sugar and, hence, more wealth than most of its neighbors combined. It was a prize to be coveted, so when the rebellion broke out, the Spanish and British saw their chance to claim it for themselves.